Hi, and welcome to Straight Shot Radio. My name is Johnny Slick, and I'm the founder and head coach at Straight Shot Training, a remote personal training company with an emphasis on helping people of all fitness levels feel better, move better, and live better with progressive functional strength and conditioning workouts. You've heard a lot from me on this podcast, and you've seen me post on social media under the brand Straight Shot Training for the past 4 years. More recently, you've seen our coaches Delaney, Steve, and Megan more on our social media, but someone I'm pretty sure you don't know has a pretty big role in the company, and that's my business partner, friend, and co-owner of Straight Shot Training, Chris Lewis. Teaming up with Chris has allowed me to take what was once a side project of mine and turn it into a full-time job where I can help more people, have an awesome team of coaches, and build up the company with him to what it is now, while planning for what we want it to be in the future. I wanted to have Chris on so you all could get to know him, his backstory, hear how we met, and figured out how to combine our skills, and so we could get together and share with you today what we hope to accomplish with our team. But before we get into the interview, I want to tell you something I think is kind of cool. So this past weekend, Tom Brady and the Buccaneers won the Super Bowl. And while seeing Brady win his 7th ring was pretty crazy, the even crazier thing to us personally here at Straight Shot was something that our Straight Shot athletes have in common with this championship team. You see, the strength and conditioning coaches for the Bucs use the exact same training software that we use to deliver our workout programs to our remote training clients. Yep, we use the same software. So Team Builder is this app that we use to train our awesome Straight Shot athletes, and it's the same app that Brady, Gronk, and the squad used to get in shape to go out and do what they did on Sunday. And look, their coaches obviously take their training seriously, and we take your fitness seriously too, so that's why we use the app Team Builder. If you're interested in training with us through this super cool app, this NFL quality app, I want you to head to straightshottraining.com, check out workout programming and remote coaching, and then click request a coach to get started. All right, let's get into my chat with Straight Shot co-owner and coach, Chris Lewis. All right, thanks for joining me today, Chris.
Hey, it's great to be here. Down in sunny Charlotte, North Carolina. It's probably about 10 to 12 degrees warmer than back home up in Maryland.
And you're flying back tomorrow, right?
Yeah, just in time, I guess, for more snow.
Just in time for the snow. Yeah, so you're gonna. That's a pretty good. So, just a little backstory. You and I met at Frederick Community College in 2018, and since then we've teamed up to launch Straight Shot Training LLC. After this was more of a side project of mine for several years before that. But most of my clients and even most of my family doesn't really know who you are, since so much of what we've accomplished together has been while we've been locked down, especially over the past year. So I thought today, for our introduction of you as a coach and the co-owner of Straight Shot, that we'd take our listeners through a little bit of your history and what you're currently doing between the two fitness companies that you own and are connected with.
Great. Yeah.
Cool.
I guess it kind of goes back to, why did I even take this class at FCC on personal training? And I had started a technology business. We were a defense contractor in Howard County, and we ended up, after we started in 2004, built the company up. I had 2 other partners, and we decided it was the right time to sell and try to take advantage of the market. And we sold in 2017.
Okay.
And it was a great experience, great partners. And my 2 other partners were more the technology guys, and I was kind of the business guy. And we got together and got that thing going and built it up really nicely and sold it. And in 2017, I started thinking about, hey, what am I going to do next? I had been talking with my son-in-law, who was in physical therapy school at the time, and I had been going to physical therapy for so many different things, with little ailments, because I was running and training, and I just was kind of enamored by the physical therapy practice that I had been going to. I really liked their approach to things, and might as well give those guys a shout out. It's Rehab to Perform.
Oh yeah.
Getting ready to open up their fifth location coming up here, so they're
Yeah, that's
doing really
awesome.
well. But I just love their approach. I was also at the same time coaching high school girls track and field and cross country in Frederick County. So I ended up having a lot of athletes that, needed physical therapy here and there. But, so the whole physical therapy side of thing was just very interesting to me, completely different from what I had been doing. And I thought, becoming a personal trainer would at least give me some education and knowledge, into anatomy and physiology, and which I had no real, education in whatsoever.
Yeah. And just so everybody can make the connection, we've had your son-in-law on the show before. That's Dr. Garrett Foland from Kinetics Physiotherapy and Performance, which you own down in Mount Holly, North Carolina. So he was in physical therapy school at the time that you were first kind of going down this road to become a personal trainer.
Yeah, he is just finishing up physical therapy school, and we kind of talked about this and, what he was going to do, what his plans were. And, we kind of said, hey, that'd be kind of neat to open up something like this. And, I had asked him, what kind of physical therapy are you interested in? He was interested in sports related, sports rehab and physical therapy. And I was like, wow, well, that's, kind of lines up with what I'm interested in and doing something different. And so, funny enough, I signed up to take the personal training test through NASM and got the book and everything. And I started looking at it and I was like, I don't know any of this stuff. This is all foreign to me. I said, I'm the kind of, I was always the kind of student that I really needed somebody to kind of a teacher rather than just reading a book. And so I started looking around. That's where I found the FCC class. And it just looked like it was the perfect fit to kind of, because basically you guys went right through the book. And that's what I thought was the best way to learn.
So then after that class and you become a personal trainer, shortly actually, did you start doing personal training with me while we were still in the class, or was that just after the class ended?
No, right after the class. And the idea, for me, was really never to really kind of be a personal trainer, though I did end up working over at One Life in North Frederick. I wanted to get that experience of training people so I could, just have that knowledge. But the objective was never really to be, to try to build up, as many clients. It was really just to understand the business, help me with the physical therapy side of things.
So shortly after we finished up the class, you started training with me. But during this time that we were working together, you were working around some challenging issues that you were having with back pain. You tell us a little bit of the story with that?
Yeah, it's so I ran track in high school. After high school, and I would say I was a mediocre, track athlete. I wasn't horrible and I wasn't great. But it was, obviously a great experience in high school. And after that, I did some running and played a lot of, softball and, I was always constantly busy, and I ended up giving up running for about 15 years. And I'm not, I think back then I was kind of thinking it would be bad for my knees or something. I took up cycling and, but I was always active, doing something. And I started strength training on my own and I had no clue what I was doing. And I never asked anybody either. I just, but I kept it. I was consistent about strength training. I probably did it, maybe twice a week. But I had no idea what I was really doing. And I did that for many, many, many years. But I never, ever, ever did lower body strength training. Ever. And, I didn't know what I've heard of a deadlift. But I was, basically too afraid to even try it because I didn't want to get injured because I didn't know anything about it.
Yeah.
And my thought process was that, hey, look, I'm running, I'm cycling. I don't need to do any lower body, which is really funny now that I think about it. But that's kind of where my mind was at that time. And so, yeah, I started doing some. I started racing a lot. Doing some. I've probably done over 25 half marathons, and I've done just only 3 marathons. The half marathon was really fun for me. It was kind of that sweet spot
Okay.
for me as far as training. And I really I got to the point where I was racing against myself. I wasn't,
Yeah.
that competitive, but you challenge yourself and you're always pushing yourself. And I kind of got into that. That's where I was getting, I'd have little problems here and there, but I ended up doing a half Ironman in 2015. I started noticing something was going wrong. I'd be running sometimes and I'd basically lose feeling in my left leg and I would almost, go to the ground.
Jeez.
And it would just do that every once in a while. And I never knew what was going on. And the pain turned into sciatic issues and glute issues and all kinds of stuff. And I finally ended up, after going to physical therapy,
Yeah.
ended up getting an MRI. And I was told that I had spinal stenosis. And I'm like, oh, what's that? The doctor explained what it was and basically recommended getting some shots in your back to help with the pain. And I was kind of adverse to doing any kind of back surgery. So, that kind of went on for about another year and a half or so. And one day I was going to my chiropractor, who I hadn't seen in a while, and he happened to be looking at my MRI, and I was kind of surprised that he had access to my MRI, but it was really a blessing. And he was like, "Hey, look, you really need back surgery." And he kind of really sat down and explained everything to me and kind of went through it and contacted a neurosurgeon and he agreed and I had the surgery in November of 2019. But prior to that, it was a mess. When I came to see you, I wanted to learn more lower body strength training, which I hadn't been doing. I just finished taking the class from you. And I was like, hey, look, this will be great. I'm going to get real hands-on personal training from somebody that I really respected. And it'll also kind of benefit me. And here's how a personal trainer approaches, personal training. And since I had just taken the class, I thought it was a great thing.
And this was, something in the class that we did do some of the stuff with, learning deadlifts and learning squats, but it's one of those things that like, if you really want to learn how to do it, you just got to do it and you got to do it a lot. And so we worked, and I actually have some videos and pictures of you when we first started working together of, your hip hinge and your squat patterns. And your form got really good, but the thing with your back just kept getting to the point of where it didn't matter how good your form was, your back was bothering you.
Oh yeah. Yeah. It was crazy.
Yeah.
And
so
having the surgery, I mean, I'm not, somebody who wants to get under the knife, probably like most people. But it really turned out to be one of the best things I've ever done for myself was having that. I move better now. I feel better. I'm starting to run again. And it's great. Prior to the surgery, I could run maybe about 10 minutes and it was just painful.
Yeah. Yeah.
The surgery was great. Yeah.
You're back to deadlifting, you're back to squatting, all of that stuff now.
Yeah, absolutely. I've gotten to the point where, what's the real objective of strength training? I'm not trying to, build, muscle. I just want to be able to move. Here I am. I'm in my 60s. What do I really need to do? I want to be able to stay healthy. I want to be able to move properly and do that for a very long time.
I guess that gets into our next question here. I wanted to talk a little bit about what your approach to coaching is. So both as a personal trainer, but also a little bit of kind of what your approach was to coaching back when you were coaching track for all of those years.
Yeah, it's kind of funny. I started out coaching back in 2005 over at Urbana High School. And I kind of got into it mainly because my daughter, one of the straight shot coaches, Megan Fulton.
Coach Megan, yeah.
Yep. She started in high school and she was running and she was a pretty good runner. And I was kind of looking at a way of trying to spend more time with my kids. And I thought, coaching would be a great way to kind of be able to hang with my daughter. I was still, I was starting my own business, and but that also gave me some flexibility to be able to leave work early, go to practice, and then of course when I got home and ate dinner, and I was back working again. But I had that flexibility, and so I kind of got into it, and I really started enjoying it, and I felt like I was making a difference with kids, trying to connect with kids. And I mean, I don't know. I remember high school. I think everybody remembers high school and as a kind of defining time in their life. And if I could help make that better for kids, I thought that was always a good thing. And
that's awesome.
I've been doing that pretty much since 2005.
Okay. And then what about when you started moving into personal training? What was kind of your approach? Because it's a little bit different because you're not training somebody for a competition when you're working with clients. And then, of course, now owning both businesses, how are you kind of looking at coaching?
Well, it's kind of interesting. I mean, with the clients, it's kind of, trying to help them determine what they really want to do. I mean, and, you get a range of clients from people that haven't been moving at all and are trying to figure out how to get going again, to people that may be more, have been doing it longer and looking for something specific to help them out.
So during the process of you and I working together, I remember you talking about the physical therapy / performance center that you were starting down in Mount Holly, which is now Kinetics, with Dr. Garrett Foland doing the physical therapy side and your daughter Megan doing the personal training. And as you were talking about it, I remember you talking to me once and asking me, if, once you get things rolling down there, if I would be interested in starting something up this way, which was like, do you remember that? Do you remember that conversation?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. I even remember the exact location of where we were talking.
We were in the corner at the squat rack.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah. Absolutely. And I remember that, but I remember coming home so happy and talking to Rachel, because this is something where, I've devoted my life to becoming a personal trainer. It's pretty much the only job I've really had. It's like a real job. I've been doing it since I just turned 18. And the whole time, it's like as I learned more as a coach and was practicing that portion of it, I wanted to kind of learn the business side, but it was just something where I was like, I really need somebody else who knows what they're doing when it comes to this. I would love to eventually, own my own fitness company, but I really want to focus on being the best coach I can be and have somebody who can help me with the business side, who's also passionate about the same things that I'm passionate about. So that was a pretty cool moment for me, was when you asked me that. I was like, yeah, I've been waiting for someone to ask me this.
Well, and this is a testament to you. I as we were training and obviously during class, I realized you really knew your stuff, and I was like, oh, this guy knows so much. And his philosophy is great. It's not, you're really interested in helping people, move better and get stronger. And I'm like, God, this is just great. And I was just kind of enamored by that. And I was like, this is the kind of person I want to go into business with.
Oh, cool.
And that, that's kind of where that went to. And I was like, part of me was like, God, are you crazy? You're going to be starting a physical therapy practice in another state, and you're going to try to do something else up here. Are you biting off too much? And, I was like, hey, let's give this a shot. And here we are.
Yep. Yeah. So we started after you we trained for a while, and after that, you were doing some stuff on your own, and we were keeping in contact, having meetings a lot here and there, and doing a lot of this, building of the company over the course of, it was, I guess, 2019 into 2020. And at that time, you were really getting things going with Kinetics. You're getting ready to move into, your location down there. But with you and I having a background as coaches, and then both of us working in gyms for a little bit, one of the things that we wanted to do was we had a different vision for the type of place that we wanted to work at. And I think that was something that I really liked and knew that I wanted to do something with you, was that we both wanted to have a place where, people were able to come and train so that they could, feel better, do what they love to do when it comes to their hobbies, that as coaches that we could be free to train our clients the way we wanted to train them. It wouldn't be this pushy sales atmosphere. So that was one of the other things too, is that we kind of had this vision for what we wanted to build as a business. But of course, that kind of all changed in 2020.
Oh yeah. And, it's kind of funny. I think we spent probably the latter half of 2019 looking for space. And, if you recall, we found, a pretty good spot, and we're in lease negotiations, and we were, that close, really close to signing the lease. And then the landlord had a hiccup, and which ended up turning out to be a blessing in disguise. Cause I think that that was probably this time last year.
It was like
the pandemic.
It was like 3 weeks before the lockdown, we found out that we weren't going to be able to move into that location. So at the same time, you were getting ready to open Kinetics.
Yeah, because I had been working pretty much all of 2019 and finding space down here in the Charlotte area, and we finally signed that lease on March 1st. And then we knew we had a build out period of a couple months, but no one obviously could have expected this pandemic.
What was coming? Yeah. So you want to talk about risky business decisions? You started 2 businesses in 2020. That's
yeah.
It's crazy. But Kinetics opened though in June, right? Was it June? The first week of June?
Yeah, it was pretty much the first week. Garrett probably, I think he left his other company kind of at the end of middle to the end of May of that year, and we were working on getting the equipment in and finishing up the facility and getting it turned over to us. But we sat for at least a month with no patients down here, and we're like, we couldn't get in to see any doctors to kind of get referrals because nobody was accepting people other than patients in their offices. So they weren't. Yeah. So it was really, really hard, trying to get the word out that we're open and, available. And I remember, booking that first client, and it was like, yes, this is going to be great. Honestly, it was a tough road there, to try to get, some patients in there, and it's been slowly building. It's still not where we want it. But we continue to get, additional patients, and we're going to keep plugging away at it. And
then Coach Megan for Straight Shot does in-facility training for us down there, and she's been steadily picking up clients down there on the personal training side of Kinetics.
Yeah, the idea, it's Kinetics Physiotherapy and Performance, and the idea was, to take that, therapy to personal training, strength training, because a lot of the times these patients, we work with them, they get better, but a lot of times some of their problems are caused by lack of strength, and they really need a personal training to continue on and to continue to get better. And I remember, I think it was probably August of this year, got you to come down there, and we kind of talked about, hey, why don't we just run the training side, through Straight Shot? And and even though it's, it's part of Kinetics, it's, also we've got the whole straight shot philosophy working down here, and it just made sense.
No, and I think it's a good mixture, because Garrett and we see things very similarly, but he's able to take his patients and get them to the point of where they're pain free and moving better. But Megan's able to provide then that continuing education, so that they're learning these movement patterns and good habits of exercise that are going to have them living pain free for much longer than if they'd just done physical therapy and then went off and did nothing after that.
Totally. And Dr. Folan was a personal trainer while he was in physical therapy school. So, he had that background also. And that's, just everything just kind of ties together.
Yeah. Now, something that we had looked at before with Straight Shot was this idea of hybrid personal training, where some of it was going to be online, some of it was going to be in person. And when we were looking at moving into a facility, we were trying to figure out, well, how are we going to blend this, online and in person? So we started putting some stuff together to have the online side of the house ready. And thank goodness that we did that, because when 2020 hit, we had no choice but to move completely online with very limited in-home.
Yeah, that was, we were able to pivot pretty good there. You were still working at the Y at the time, and things were kind of shut down. And, we kept trying to figure out, what are we going to do? When are we going to get going? And it was really, for me, it wasn't the issue, other than I wanted to get the business up and going. For you, it was, really critical.
Absolutely.
So we, so you could continue to make a livelihood, and we just kind of jumped in. And hey, let's do it. We don't need a physical place right now to get this thing going. Let's get going, and let's get the virtual going, and people that, feel comfortable enough to do in-home, we can do it outside. Because it was, at the time, it was the summer when we started that, and it just started. We started getting that momentum, and then getting a couple of these other great trainers that are working with us, Delaney and Steve, and then obviously we had Megan starting up too.
Yeah, that was. That's it ended up being actually a really good year when most people can't say that about 2020. So now looking at these two companies that you are the owner of are looking at Kinetics. What are you hoping to do with that going forward now in the Mount Holly, North Charlotte area? Kind of what's your dream of that business down there?
I think really, and it kind of goes for both businesses. Both businesses are there to get people healthy and keep people healthy, and moving. I think being part of the community is probably the biggest thing, and and it's still a little hard with the pandemic. There's still not a lot of things going on. We thought down here that we would be attending different races, or right here in Mount Holly is the National Whitewater Training Center, and we thought we'd be there on the weekends where they have different events and that kind of stuff, and all that stuff got canceled, and we still there's still not races are still not scheduled yet, but I think kind of being part of the community and getting out there, letting people know, hey, here we are, we're here to help. We're right here. We're part of the community. Dr. Folan lives in Mount Holly, and I think having that community focus is huge.
Absolutely. And then what about up this way with Straight Shot? What are we hoping to do now?
Well, it's you and I have been talking. When do we bite the bullet and get back out there and start looking for space again? And we've been looking more a little more passively, but I think it's time to start kind of moving to that phase. And part of I think the big question is, will people go back to going to facilities to work out? A lot of people built their own gyms, but there is still a large amount of people that want to have training done, and they don't want to do it at their homes per se, but it's, it's a timing issue.
Absolutely.
When do people feel comfortable enough to start doing that? Between the vaccinations and hopefully we'll start seeing, things start to get better. I think you can start to see that you start looking at the numbers are already starting to get a little bit better.
Yeah. Well, and this is something that I appreciate about the way that you see things from a business standpoint, because it's very similar to the way that you and I both see things when it comes to doing personal training or coaching people or doing physical therapy, where we're here to serve our athletes. So when it comes to, a physical location versus virtual, there can be all the stuff that we want to do, but then there's what do people want and what do they need? And ultimately, as business owners and as coaches, we are here to serve our clients and our athletes.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So, we want to create the best experience possible for people. And right now we're trying to do that. And I feel like we're doing a good job with the people who are working with us of connecting with them the best that we can virtually. But I mean, obviously you and I have worked together in person. We both know it's you can't really beat that in-person contact.
Yeah, I agree.
So it's something that obviously, we really want to do and we would love to do. It's just, right now, like you said, it's a timing issue and really, really hope that it's a sooner rather than later timing issue when it comes to being able to, have us working together with people in a physical location in Frederick.
Yeah, I totally agree. Plus you're tired of hauling all the equipment in your car.
Oh my gosh. You know what? If the suspension holds up on that Honda Civic, by the time we open up a facility, I think it's going to be amazing.
Well, look at the good that's come. Yesterday, you said you found a weight plate on the middle of the road on 340.
on 340, which is completely rusted. I think a truck must have been holding a tarp down or something. I just see this plate slide across the highway and cars swerve around it. By the time I got to it, it was off to the side, and I could see it. I guess like a hawk's eye. I can tell whenever there's free weight sitting around. So I pulled my car off to the side and walked across 3 lanes on 340 to pick up this. I thought it was a 10. It turned out to be a 25-pound plate. And it's now in my home gym.
That's awesome. I'm sure your wife loved the fact that you were crossing over 340 to get a weight plate.
No, actually she when I told her the story, she thought that it fell out of my car. So she was relieved to know that I wasn't like throwing stuff out of my car by accident, that it was someone else's weight plate. So it was all good.
Yeah, that's funny.
Cool. All right. Well, thanks so much for joining us today, Chris. I really appreciate you taking the time to kind of share your story and us, kind of let people hear from both of the owners.
Yeah, I'm glad finally on your podcast. It's kind of funny. I would listen to your podcast as I would drive back and forth down from Maryland down to North Carolina. So now I'm finally on a podcast. So definitely appreciate it. And I think both businesses have, great futures, and they really do. The synergy is so good between them. And you had mentioned you and Dr. Volan have a very similar philosophy. And that's what makes, having these two companies work really well.
Yeah. Well, both Garrett and I appreciate everything that you've put in with all of the time that you spent split between both businesses over the past couple of years.
It is funny. Sometimes I have to remember which one I'm working on.
That's funny. Cool. Thanks so much for joining us, Chris.
Awesome. Thank you.
Thanks so much for listening today. I really appreciate it. Make sure you are subscribed to the show and leave us a rating if you have a second. That really helps us get our message out to more people. You can find us on social media using the handle @StraightShotTraining. And if you want to get our weekly newsletter with exclusive content, deals, and giveaways, head to straightshottraining.com and click Join the Email Club. Thanks again, and have a great week, everybody.